victory and the agony of defeat.
Madison, great ball around the corner, Penisini, he beats them all! Junior Polar out wide, bumped away from Trindle, Sharks coming through, none of them can hold this!
Alrighty, hello and welcome back to a live edition of the Tip Sheet. It's the Instant Reaction. I'm your host John, also known as 4020. Joining me to break down a very important win for the Parramatta Eels is my good mate Sixties, big fella of the Parramatta Eels, delivering their best performance of the season. And they came without their 2 stars. What's going on?
Never in doubt.
Never in doubt.
I did it easy. I just hopped onto Twitter, and I have the usual tweet that I like to put out. And I won't say those words that I normally tweet out on the podcast.
You know
but
what?
let's just say...
I think YouTube's got a rule that after the first minute of broadcast, it's okay to slip one in. So you got to wait if you want to do it.
Look, the F yeah, I just said doing the F yeah rock. And
great song, great context there too.
Turn
around to the Seagulls.
You know, it was just so good. The last time we were there at the stadium, it was flat because it was that game against the Dolphins, and we just couldn't quite, convert all those scoring opportunities. And I had my worries at the start when we had that long break from Luca that we couldn't turn into a try. And I thought, please don't let it be one of those nights because, there was just a different feel about it being juniors 250th game. And you know what? The vibe was kicking in. I wish there had been more people there than the 13,000 that were there to see it. The weather wasn't great, but you know what? It doesn't matter.
Conditions were a lot better than they could have been, though. That was actually reasonable playing conditions.
They were so much better. But look, we're going to be talking about the team performance, individual performances. I'm just going to preempt it by saying I don't want to find fault with any player out there tonight. It was just too good.
It'd be a tough
performance.
Yeah, even people that we've been tough on in terms of our post-match criticism this year, I think produced their best. And while there was a mistake here and there, I think you're really starting to see Jason Ryles, Nathan Brown, Scott Wisemantle, Sam Moa, all their systems starting. Look, mature is too strong a word right now because the Eels are far from the finished product, but defensively, you consistently saw the Eels being put in 3-on-3 positions out wide, which against Manly's speed on the edges is a really good place to be. And obviously, offensively, they were physical, they were aggressive, they had great shape without Mitchell Moses and Zach Lomax. Dean Hawkins, obviously the big man stepping up to replace Moses. I've seen some criticism of Dylan Brown online, but Dylan did exactly what Dylan does, which is playing that foil to the primary playmaker and doing a good job. So Eels across the park outstanding. I haven't mentioned a couple of players who are probably going to be top of the 3-2-1 as well. We'll get to them shortly because before we do start talking football 60s, as always, a couple of housekeeping matters. If you are watching this one live on YouTube, you can give us a like and a subscribe. We are very close to 500 subs, which is actually an important milestone, so please hit that subscribe button. And then likewise, if you're following this on Spotify, iTunes, other platforms, SoundCloud, in the wake of this one that goes uploaded as an audio-only podcast, be sure to give us a like and a review on those ones there. And
can I just say we've got a few people in there live at the moment. You're gonna let us know who's in there.
Yeah, I will. There's plenty of regulars, but I see chat's been.
Yeah, but maybe if I could just send out a quick message to anyone that's in there at the moment. If you're in the chat at the moment and you're not a subscriber, can you give us a subscribe? Let's see if we can actually bump up our YouTube subscription
500 on the in the pod.
To 500 plus right now.
But yeah,
right during this podcast.
Chat is popping off. I see the 2 Pauls in there. We got Sandy Hunter, Dave Lander, Ben Johnson for the Peanut Gallery doing great work. Chris Hill and Kicks, David Calgaro. I saw Rachel in there before. Jaden Walters, plenty of regular sinkers is there as well. Mike Fleet saying hello. What a win. Yeah, well said, Mike. It was a great win. Got Gregory Rex, Brett Mirando, Jamie, another regular there. Eminem, not the rapper, I don't think, though. It'd be pretty cool if we did have Eminem sport in TCT, but we can do that.
Our followers are far and wide, mate. You know, we did rate highly on the South Pole, the Australian South Pole mission down there. So who knows?
See Matty Buckeyes in there. Good to see all those regulars. Everyone dropping by. We've got 68 concurrent viewers right now, so plenty of people looking to break down this 20-point win. And, of course, before we do that, shout out to our sponsors. Nice and easy here. Parramatta Leagues, home of the Eels. We're out there this evening talking to the great Edgy, who had a fantastic little chat to us. One of Parramatta's...
What about that premiership ring too?
Yes, he had the great little, I say bling, but a nice little bit of gear on the ring, and he showed that to you. You got some pictures, I believe, you shared on socials?
Yeah. I haven't had
not yet,
to share.
But you will share on socials?
I will share, yeah.
But the great dummy half, and he had some cracking stories to share for us. We did a quick hitters line run by of some of his great players he sort of shared the field with, and he had some good anecdotes there. And then, of course, Home of the Eels is one of our sponsors. The other principal partner for Parramatta for TCT is Star Partners Real Estate, who do have a Parramatta office alongside their Narellan and Auburn offices, and we say our thanks to both those sponsors. All right, mate, let's get into the breakdown of this one. The Parramatta Eels 30, dominating Manly Warringah Seagulls 10. Leo Hapawadi got a double, but was prevented from a hattie with a great effort from young Joash Papali, who ended up playing damn near 78 minutes, replacing Will Penisini, who succumbed to an early Category 1 concussion. And then for the Blue and Gold, Jordan Serrani scoring a early career highlight with the upside down put down as he slid.
The Ibis. The Ibis.
Did the bin chicken going in like God, what's his the old ABC program used to draw with his
Mr. Squiggle.
Mr. Squiggles upside down, and then Joash then tacking on his own try on debut. Jack Williams going in before halftime. A great bit of work there between him, Hawkins, and Junior Barlaw. Then Azara Yongi and Jermaine Hopgood tacking on in the second half. Good day from Sean Russell off the tee. That was my concern in the preview podcast 60s. I had him down as 1 from 5, I think, in my preview. 22 to 16, I had the score, and I had 1 from 5, and he's done the reverse. He was 4 from 5 from the try conversions, and the tack on a penalty goal late in the game as well. So total scoreboard domination, big fella. The macro stats are interesting, though. The Eels did not have the lion's share of the ball. The Seagulls, 52%, plus 2 minutes, let's say, rounded down a little bit in time of possession. But the Eels completing really effectively in the wet, 88%, 37 of 42, good Lord. And then ahead in pretty much all the important attacking stats. Manly more runs, but the Eels more run meters, so more efficient with their possessions. Better post-contact meters, more line breaks, more tackle busts, better set distance on average. Played a ball speed pretty close between the two teams. Manly actually offloaded the Eels because they were playing hot potato in the second half, a lot of offloads, and the Eels just kept a nice umbrella defense, suffocating that ball. And then, interestingly, effective tackle rate actually slightly ahead for Manly, who had the first half where they missed about 20 tackles. Ended up with 36 missed tackles, which is worse than Parramatta's 27. But the Eels with more ineffective tackles, dragging down that effective tackle rate, even though defensively I thought the Eels were very good.
Yeah, no, a lot of those ineffective tackles, I think, came in a cluster where the Seagulls got second phase play.
Just reckless offloads and didn't do anything with the ball.
I reckon there was one play there where there was probably something like 5 or 6 Eels tackles that might have come up as being classified as ineffective as the Manly stood in the tackle and offloaded. And it was like one after the other. They went nowhere, as you said, and I think it really blew out the ineffective tackles just in that one play.
Yeah. So,
but apart from that, I thought we were in total control. The only time that Manly looked like scoring was where Joash got caught out. He doesn't play wing. He's not used to defending in that regard.
You saw that
he
with
got
the second
caught
try.
a little in field.
Yeah.
And they kept going to that well. You could see when they got down.
I don't mind them attacking the raw edge there, which was makeshift. Obviously, I think 7 games, including Joash's debut game here between him and Semrani. But by doing so and by overcommitting to attacking that edge, they're taking away from their really talented right edge of their own. Hamoli Olakau'atu and Jason Saab saw no ball, or at least no ball in attacking situations. And that played into Parramatta's hands, I think. Like, yeah, they scored a couple of tries, but Joash makes that adjustment after halftime. Sensational try saver on Lehigh Hopewadi to deny that hat-trick. That was a great effort. He threw his body into that one and got that left elbow into touch. And, yeah, we mentioned in our preview podcast, 60s, no Mitchell Moses, and to a lesser extent, no Zach Lomax, which is not a slight on Zach, but in the context of winning this game, we said the Eels have to dominate the middle. They had to go out there and establish themselves in the trenches, go out there and out-muscle, out-physical the Manly Warringah Seagulls, and we saw that tonight. Junior Barlow, incredible in his 250th game. One of the top, I mean, in a sea of contenders for all points in the 3-2-1 and some great efforts going to miss out tonight. He was one of the players at the pinnacle. Over 200 metres from his 20 carries, 3 tackle busts, got a few offloads there as well. Some great try involvements. Didn't get the try assist, but he had the try involvements. And he had some really good line speed in defence. And there was a couple of good shots, and there was a couple of times where he was corralling that ruck runner back into the dummy half markers. And, yeah, did a really good job.
When you think about the Eels' performers in the pack tonight, I mean, we saw Jack Williams starting on an edge, and, you know, now we see him really as an edge forward. Like, that's where his impact is. We saw Luca Moretti, of course, starting, and we figured there'd be some of these late changes, John, with the pack and even with the back line, because there are combinations that are there that you just thought Ryles is unlikely to change some of these. Like, they worked last week. Case in point, Sean Russell playing inside Josh Adokar. Now, in attack, though, they couldn't quite get their timing right tonight, but defensively, outstanding.
Yeah, we were having this discussion in chat earlier while you were getting online. Some people were a bit frustrated with Russell not being able to free the Fox. And I said that's fair criticism. If you go back and watch, I think with that greasy ball, Sean had to adjust his catch a couple of times and couldn't quite go from there to there in that transitional movement that you need with the defence closing in. But you go back and look at the work that both did with the ruck and defensively, yeah, and not to say you can't criticise that performance, but it is worth reminding again that Sean Russell is not our frontline choice in the backs. He's our first drop back, and he's doing a great job being Mr. Fix-It for Jason Ryles right now, even if that does come with, a few flaws here and there. But, yeah.
But you know what? He's actually probably been the most consistent back that's there, and it's certainly his best season, I think, is in the back line. It just didn't quite gel. Now, I don't know if it showed up as well on television, but there were a number of times there where the Fox made a late decision to come back infield.
Yeah.
And as he coming back infield, then Sean Russell was getting tackled.
Yeah.
So the timing, that's why I said it was just that the timing wasn't quite right between the two of them tonight in there. I don't know whether it was a communication thing or whether they just, Manly just did enough to shut down the Sean Russell being able to release the Fox. I thought maybe there was one in the second half where he could have got the ball away, where the Fox stayed on his outside, but that was on the far side to where I sit. But apart from that, I don't have too many complaints at all there. I mean, when you think about the other side, it's understandable if it didn't quite gel with those tries with Manly, because you had Dean Hawkins, who has under 20 first-grade games, Jordan Samrani, who I think was playing his 8th first-grade games, and of course Joash Papali, who was on debut, and they are, the halfback, the centre, the winger, next to each other. Now, if Manly weren't able to score from a couple of possessions, like repeat sets and that sort of thing, where they had plenty of possession there, they were never going to score. And to be honest, apart from those tries, they never looked like scoring. But let's just think for a moment what our Parramatta Eels team looked like at the start of the season. Just think for a moment what they look like. It is chalk and cheese right now. Now, we're not getting carried away with what can they achieve for the rest of this year. We just want them to keep building. just keep building. No expectations, just keep building. Because in a short period of time, they are coming a long way. I am going to gloat over one thing, John. I kept maintaining that Gideon Katonga was a player that you had to stick with.
Yeah.
That
we both invested there. You've been his day one, I suppose, proponent since the preseason, and I had him pegged as the potential man of the match for the Parramatta Eels in the preview. Just looking at the build. So,
are you going to?
I could have a cheeky little 3 points on him. We'll have to wait and see because there's a couple of guys that have got their hands all over the 3-point competition there. I see in chat rugby league history's popping off, coming in singing Joash Hash Brown Papali. Good old Hash Browns there, Joash Browns. Good nickname there, ROH. And we are, the 3-2-1. I sort of had a pre-poll chat before. I look forward to letting them loose later in the podcast, and we'll get everyone to do their 3-2-1s later, not just yet. Because, geez, I mean, the 1, the 7, obviously, the 8 and the 10, Gideon Katonga in the back row as well. Dylan Walker was fantastic. I don't know where you want to begin in terms of the individual appraisal here, 60s, because across the park, and even like the minor contributors, that was Ryan Madison's best game of the season. He came on 25 minutes into the contest, roughly, and was really physical through the middle. Again, Joash Papali on debut, being thrust out into the wing, not the position he trained for. He's primarily a fullback and spent the week being a utility at dummy half, the halves, and obviously fullback too. And then Will Penisini has an unfortunate head knock, and hello, you're on the wing, mate. You're playing against Manly, who have one of the most potent backlines, up against one of the young up-and-coming stars in Lee Harpawati. Go hold your own, mate. And he did it. So
now, what I'm really keen on some of the comments and questions real early. What I'd like to know, John, you might be able to help me out with this because I haven't seen anything of the media commentary about the game. I'm hoping they're not trying to put a focus on the players that Manly had out because don't start me with that.
I caught a bit of the panel breakdown, and I think they were mostly effusive in their praise of Parramatta.
As it should be.
It was more the Eels without Mitchell Moses and Zach Lomax do a great job rather than the former that you're suggesting there, because that could have been an easy way for them to demean the win. But the reality is when you've got Moses and Lomax out versus DCE, then it's the scale was definitely balanced one way, and it's not towards Manly in terms of lost talent. So, look, I think online the neutrals have been pretty positive as well. I had a bounce around the internet before. Have not seen the Manly forum yet. I can't imagine they're going to be too happy over at Silvertails. They never like losing the Parramatta, let alone getting pantsed like they did tonight. But, the Eels building. I caught a bit of Jason Ryles' press conference. You have a chance to see it soon, 60s, but Junior came in absolutely decked out. He looks fantastic. A lot of bling's the wrong word, but there's a lot of celebratory jewelry and sort of trinkets there.
The trinkets, are they lollies? They chocolates that they have in those?
They might be.
You know, like that. That's like I've seen that sort of thing with the celebrations of Pacifica heritage people.
Yeah.
Like just making those like making it a fun party sort of celebration with that.
And to your point, chat saying that Nine were pretty neutral in a good way, and Fox confirming what I said were quite positive and didn't try and take away from the win. And by the way, there was a great moment to start that press conference where a bit of a faux pas from our coach, Jason Ryles, who said the Eels won without Junior Palambalo, and Junior's just sitting right there, and he just turns to him and just cracks a smile, realizing he messed up, and just like pats him on the arm. And then he lavished the praise on the captain tonight as well, who definitely led the way.
As it should be.
Yeah.
And now speaking about the captain, there was that moment right on half time where he's got the ball back on halfway and he's shaped for the field goal attempt. Now, here's the thing that you don't know is that at training through the week, they're having a field goal competition. He won it with a field goal.
You could just that would have flashed through his head for a moment there, and he's like, "Oh, it's a bit too wet, probably." And I won't give Tom Teboyevich a chance to make an impact on the game. You know what? Either way, it was a legendary moment. It's a great bit of physical comedy by shaping for field goal and then saying, "Nah, just got you." If he'd gone for it and got it though, the 2-point field goal at halftime, geez, there would have been there's a list of Parramatta forwards that have struck a pretty good field goal, and he would have been on that list.
People know
intrusive forwards.
People know how skillful Junior is. One of the joys of training over the years has been when he just decides he's going to open that kit bag and do chip kicks, conversions from the sideline, field goals.
He's a unicorn. We've always said it, he's a unicorn. I mean, there are other prop forwards that deservedly have higher positions in terms of status in the game. Obviously, Payne Haas, Tino Fa'asuamala Awi, Joe Tapine up in Canberra, down in Canberra. But Junior, he's got a little bit of something that I don't think all of them, like individually, none of them all have, between being able to be a physical wrecking ball, being so light in his feet for being so big, and then the ball playing. He is a very special player, and we don't see the titanic efforts week on week now like we used to, but he's having a great season. This is
where do you put, just as an aside right at the moment, where do you put his season thus far? Do you put it as one of his best thus far?
If you're going to be pro rata based on what we're seeing, and then extrapolate that to a full season, then it's getting up there. He's had a couple of titanic efforts. Obviously tonight, was it against the West Tigers where he went for 200 meters as well? There was a game earlier this year where he popped off as well. He is putting together after all the roster churn and burn we went through in the off season into the preseason, because some stuff happened pretty late as well. There was a lot of question marks about where Junior's position was in this squad. Was he the man to be one of the leaders for the Parramatta Eels under Jason Ryles? Was he the man to take hold of a young and inexperienced pack? And it was rough early on because the Eels got steamrolled by Melbourne and then backed that up with a pretty, frankly, abysmal effort against the Tigers. But he righted the ship. He wasn't alone in doing it, but you look at those middles, and Junior has put his hand up and been the first man into the breach. And I think that's helped guys like Sam Tuivasa, who obviously isn't available right now, but you've seen Luca Moretti come back from injury and emerge as a right-hand man in that regard. We've seen Ryan Madison tonight starting to get back to maybe that's something that could be seen as his best form. I don't want to crown Maddo just yet, but he's certainly given Jason Ryles enough to think about putting him back into first grade for his third straight game. So yeah, Junior's been look. We know he's been bad at 60s, probably more so than the public realise in recent years too. He's put his body through a lot, and I don't know what his health status is right now, but he looks like a man that's playing freer. And yeah, like you said, pro rata, stretch that season out to 24 games. Based on what we've seen, then this will be up there.
And another question, again, it's because I'm there at the ground, and we're seeing the cameras zooming in on things, and maybe the viewers at home got a bit of a better look at it. But just before halftime, just on halftime, the Eels go into a huddle.
Yes,
and we could see that the cameramen were running over to try and capture what they could there. Was there anything that was captured?
It was a whole lot of backs. I don't think they had the sort of top-down angle. If I can keep my hand in the frame there.
Yep.
So they sort of got behind, and yeah, the boys had huddled up, circled up, and then they headed into the sheds. So maybe Chad can correct me on that one, but as far as I could tell, I couldn't see who was in the centre giving the fiery speech or pumping the boys up. But that was such good energy to go into the sheds in, wasn't it? They knew they had the foot on the throat of the Manly Seagulls, and they didn't want to let it go. And we didn't score first, but we had the halftime lead. And look, the pool of data isn't great, but we're pretty good at halftime leads right now. And so we went on to convert the job again. And yeah, they came out in the second half and maybe even played better football, honestly. Just they really knuckled down and rolled up the sleeves.
Composure was
the composure level. No Mitchell Moses, and you have that combination of Hawkins and Dylan to a lesser extent. But Dylan's role should not be undersold here. He didn't try and force himself. He had a couple of good runs early on, had some good link play as well. But Hawkins really we didn't buy him to be Mitchell Moses' deputy for the first 6 or 7 games of the season. We bought him to be in this exact spot, to come in if there's a short-term injury, if there's an origin selection, to come in and do the job. And he did it. And on commentary, I think they were saying he came into this game with 7 try assists in the NRL to his career to date. Produced a further 4 tonight. So suffice to say, he probably had a career game tonight, mate.
Yeah, he's right up there in discussions with best on field.
Mm-hmm.
without doubt. And there was in the try for was it Papali where he put the kick in. Was that Papali's try where he put the squeeze?
Yes, yeah. There was a 6 again call off the. It was like a very late 6 again call. He got that great little grubber kick in that Joash scoops up and then rolls off to the right shoulder to the Ibis, to Jordan Samrani.
That's it. Yeah. So it was Samrani's. Yeah. Yeah. And also that long break by Dylan Walker, his composure.
Yeah.
With that. And then the I think it was the pass out to
what a pass that was. On like falling to his knees to rip that, and it didn't get there on the full, but it was the next best thing of that almost room service bounce delivery there.
Yeah.
Just a great the core strength to rip that in those conditions, left to right as well, not right to left. So not the conventional strong passing angle for a playmaker, let alone any player. And then obviously,
it was like there was a double bit of composure there. Like Dylan Walker's composed, right? Didn't overplay his hand, made sure he got the best pass away. Then you've got Dean Hawkins, as you say, to have that strength to pass the ball the way that he did to get the ball out. Just really, really good. So
a bit fortunate for one of those try assists with the deflection that pinged off Kelmer's head, but I'm sure he put that. That was exactly how he drew it up on the whiteboard. But
we were a little bit worried that maybe
I thought Kelmer was half a step offside. If I'm going to be perfectly honest, I'm surprised the bunker green lit that one. But
I'm going to go. We had both feet behind the kicker.
Yeah, both feet behind the kicker. You take those, and a great game for the Dean of football, or Footy Dean as I like to call him. He came in and just had the flashy try assist, but equally it was the composure kicking. He had they weren't Mitchell Moses time in the air bombs, but he was pinning Tom Tebojevic, Hopewadi, didn't even kick towards sub, I think, but pinning those two back inside the 20 consistently. Led the kick chase a couple of times as well, like really aggressively led the kick chase, not just being up there, but up there and looking to make it a play. And there were a couple of times where I don't know if it's a called. I have to think it was a called shot, but I think Iyongi did it once. He did it once, and maybe it was someone on the right edge, really aggressively herring after the ball, looking to spot up Tom Tebojevic. And after the first time where Iyongi lit him up, Tom didn't want a bar of it, and he just went to the ground.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. What about Riley Smith? Just the number of times that he just put the kicker under pressure.
Yeah.
Just constantly charging at them. Like how fit he is phenomenal. We knew it from the preseason when he broke Gutho's.
He was there in the 79th minute
record
to bat that ball there too, which I know some people argue he could have let go, but 79 minutes in, there's no point to take a risk.
No.
He put it dead. And that was also about, he got bowled in middle stump, mate. I don't know if you caught that on the ground, but he copped an Olaquadu knee to the Royal Jewels.
We saw that. We were wondering what's he gone down for.
I was worried like he torn a shoulder or a bicep or a pec, and it's like, no, he just got bowled in middle stump, which, it sucks in the 2 to 5 minutes in the wake of it, but thank God it wasn't a serious injury.
In the bulbs.
Yes, and he bounced back up eventually and had a cracking game, and another player that could feature heavily in the points. As Sinker says, he's Mr. 1%. He really is. He's the guy coaches will adore because, like you said, in the preseason, was setting standards, doing the exact same thing on the field, harassing the kicker every week, being there if the ball's on the ground, great service from dummy half, except for that one errant pass at the start of the game where I'm not sure what went wrong in terms of who was meant to catch it down the right edge, but I don't think that wasn't necessarily his fault. But, just a fantastic rookie campaign, and you got a class of 5 of them now, 60s, and they're all doing pretty well.
You know, John, the other thing that was evident tonight was how much the players, really get behind these young blokes.
Oh, the vibes every time they made a play or scored like when we saw Joash score, the whole damn team piled onto him. And then
he's just my observations at training. He must be close to the most popular player that's out there on the paddock because he's he's the player that it seems to be they like to have fun with at training.
Yeah.
And, they're always like, he looks like he just loves every part of training, much like the Fox as well. Like the Fox brings the vibe. Well, he's been the Fox's traveling partner to training. So it's not necessarily a surprise there. So, and I know in the preseason, the Fox posted a lot of videos where he would be surprising and scaring the heck out of Joe Ash. So they really look like they enjoy each other's company, and they're celebrating each other's success, and that was so good tonight. John, what's happening in the gallery? We got any questions, any comments that you want to share from?
I mean,
people that are in there.
Chat has been on top form here. They've been popping off a couple of jokes about Riley being a cricketer, being sort of adequate, getting bold middle stump there. Maybe he had the box in. You never know. He was a pretty handy Australian school-based cricketer, I believe, as they like to bring up in commentary. Kicks points out that Josh was a Para fan too, even as a Dogs junior. Yes, Josh was a fan of the blue and gold.
Yes.
And pretty much a dream debut for him, wasn't it? Coming in and scoring that try, being heavily involved in making that try saver. We've got some chat about the Galvin situation, which we'll save for Tuesday. I know there's been a lot of, I suppose, smoke now that the Canterbury Bulldogs are seriously involved in negotiations. We'll deal with that on Tuesday, and maybe by Tuesday we might. I remain
bullish about
60 still hedging onto the Parramatta wagon there. But look, by Tuesday we might have some clarity on the situation. Today it came out that
maybe before.
But today there was an article that both the Dogs and the Eels have pretty much bang on similar offers on the table. $750,000 was the tip in the press. So we'll have to wait and see if either team makes a move from that or can make the key sell on how they sort of secure his services. I mean, Eels picked a good time to produce their best, I'll tell you that. So hopefully that can move the needle. A lot of positivity though. We had Chris was in chat saying that Lucas surely has his kicking license revoked. Surely.
Oh.
But yeah,
hey, I'm not. It went from we were thinking. Now that's a brilliant play because he's got a free shot. So why not look for the chip kick for the Fox? And then we saw that the strip had clearly happened, and then it was. Oh, that's not a good play at all.
No, it wasn't. But on the flip side, Andrew Collier points out in chat that Lucas' tackle in the second half that forced that error during one of the rare runs that Manly had attacking Parramatta's goal line was chef's kiss, and it was. That was big play. Came out, launched himself right underneath the ball, good tackle technique, jolted it loose. We've got some Origin eligibility in chat. People talking about Isaiah Yongi and Riley Smith. I think Rugby League history's in there helping provide some clarity for Riley. Kicks as well, yeah. So Riley is a Penrith junior, and we've managed to wash that stink off him, thankfully. He is a New South Wales eligible player. And then Iyongi is a Queenslander that came down to Penrith. So, yeah, Iyongi's a long way down the pecking order in terms of those talented Queensland fullbacks, but they are burning through them pretty quickly. I wonder how far off we are from him being in the mix at this rate, 60s.
Well, let's talk about Iyongi now, because seeing as though that question's been raised, was this his best game?
Mm-hmm. I think it was. I think by some margin too. I think we've seen more than, glimpses is the wrong word. It's been more than glimpses and flashes. There's been some real quality efforts from him across the season. But tonight was just the full package. We saw the try assist. We saw the line running. Manly really struggled to contain him on kick returns. 25 carries, 264 metres, 6 tackle breaks. The line break for his try, where he burnt Luke Brooks and gave him the big don't argue off that left hand. But equally was dominant under the high ball. Manly tried to pepper him. He just took to the air and made it look easy. I think, is he down for any errors? He's down for one error. I'm trying to think where that would be. But there were no clangers. There was beautiful tying with his spine players. Defensively, there was a great tackle on Ethan Bullimore. I know Manly went on to score from the resultant play, but he made a critical tackle there. And just big engine, big impact. And I don't know, you don't really pin it on Moses not being there or anything like that. But just he was in the right place at the right time consistently tonight, and just really felt like he was in his sweet spot, I suppose, like in his groove.
Yeah. I think tonight even with Mitch Moses not there, and the fact that Dylan Brown is moving on, you can see why the Eels have been happy, first of all, with the progress of Isaiah Iongi,
yep,
and also Riley Smith.
yep.
So, like half of that spine is settled, well, 3/4 with Mitch Moses. It's, and it just, when you throw in Galvin, who'll be an Eel in 26, maybe beforehand, then it starts to look even sweeter there. So, look, John, I think we can probably get into some of the key performers now and look at some individual stats as we try to compile the 3-2-1. So maybe our viewers right now can start putting forward their 3-2-1 so that you can keep track of that. Let's talk about the contenders. So I'm just having a bit of a look at the players that I think are strongly in contention. Then you can keep, if you can monitor the what's happening there. I think very much Isaiah Iongi is going to feature in people's opinions there. Dean Hawkins probably should, and hopefully there are some people who have him featuring. Jack Williams, I think he'd certainly be in contention for at least a point there. I was pretty happy with Riley Smith. Maybe he just didn't quite do enough to edge out some of the others. Junior Paulo, 100% he's got a feature in discussions. Gideon Katonga has to be someone that is considered there. He was just so strong on an edge there tonight. Hopgood, Walker, well, a couple of one or two mistakes there from Jermaine. Dylan Walker, he was just doing Dylan Walker things tonight. I just think his standard has been so high this year since he's joined us. So I don't know, maybe there's about 4 or 5 that I think are strongly in contention for the 3 points. What do you think, John?
Yeah, look, my field comes down to the fullback Iongi. I've got Dean Hawkins, I've got Jack Williams, I've got Junior Barlaw, I've got Gideon Katonga, and then I think just below that, Dylan Walker. So it's probably those first 4 or 5 really fiercely contesting the 3-2. And then the 1 point, well, you could go a number of ways, including those players mentioned. You've also got Moretti, Jordan Samrani for a great game, Sean Russell, the rookie on debut. If you want to give the feel-good point out there, the Joash for doing the job, certainly right there too. And I don't know, I'm almost inclined. I mean, I'm almost contractually inclined or obliged to go to Gideon, who it looks like in the last 2 or 3 weeks, I don't know if the coaching staff have had a chance to talk to him. Someone's gotten to him and said, mate, you're a 108 kilo ball of muscle. Go out there and smash some blokes. Because that's what he's doing. He's going out there and teams are really starting to struggle to wrap him up. And it's not just in attack. Defensively, he's laying the boom. He missed a couple of tackles tonight, but there was nothing egregious in terms of compromising the defensive structure of the team. I actually don't know where he missed 4 tackles looking at him. He still made 34, so it's not like the production's bad. But he's dominating, mate. He is out there imposing himself physically on the opposition.
Oh, yeah. And the interesting thing, John, I mean, as I said, we've been really strongly behind Gideon this year. We asked John Muggleton at the Leagues Club appearance. We said, look, there's some criticism from Eels supporters about Gideon and that he's maybe makes a few too many mistakes. Should he be learning his craft in New South Wales Cup, or would you be keeping him in first grade? And he didn't hestate. He said, no, he stays in first grade.
You use that word bullish before with the Galvin situation. Muggo was very bullish on Gideon. He didn't even hesitate. He just said, no. You look at what you got there and it's raw, but you got to persevere because there is something to work with there. And obviously one of the sharper coaching minds, Muggo, and his insight is always really interesting because of it. And he didn't hesitate. And look, I'm not saying that you're going to see Gideon go out there and dominate every team every week because that's just not how rugby league works. But he's going to have some games where he makes some, a 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100 a bugger up or three. That's how it happens with a young player. But what you're seeing now is a guy that is realizing he is stronger than most other blokes in the competition. And yeah, it's really, really positive.
My take on it was that if we were looking for someone who could be a strike powerhouse player on an edge like Olakwatu is for Manly, he could be our version of that.
He's like I was just thinking about this. He's kind of like a taller, more balanced version of Kalepi Tanganoa in terms of that physique. Just like that really, I suppose, built, but he's not a short stack. Like he's not short like Kalepi was, but he is so like dense, I suppose is the word I'm trying to look for. He's so powerful, but it's all compact and explosive. And he must be an absolute nightmare to tackle, which is what we're really seeing.
So, John, I want to hear what the consensus is.
Yeah, I'm looking here.
3, 2, 1. Just before we do, I'm really looking forward to what Gold produces with grades
be
this
top tier
week
content this week. Yeah,
because the thing is, we could be talking about right now every single Parramatta player tonight. I feel that if we haven't spoken about someone, it's a major oversight. But we don't really have the time to talk about everyone.
Players you ever mentioned, Kelma Tuolungi came off the bench and did a great job. He went out there buoyed them.
He shut down a couple of dangerous moments because that edge that he came onto was that inexperienced edge.
The compromised right edge,
He did a really good job in shutting down some dangerous moments out there. So what's is there a consensus with 3 points?
I'm looking through, our good mate Josh got in first saying Hawkins 3, Iongi 2, Williams 1. Iongi 3 points from Jeff Folland. Ben Johnson's in there saying, or Fletcher's 3-2-1, sorry. Fletcher via Ben saying Iongi 3, Hawkins 2, Barlow 1. Paul McMullen saying Hawkins 3, Iongi 2, Walker 1. So quickly, Hawkins and Iongi emerging as favourites for the top points here, 60s in chat. Carl Vendrasco saying Jack Williams 3, Junior 2. And then Dylan Walker 1. Honourable mention to Isaiah Iongi. Kicks, Iongi 3, Hawkins 2, Katonga 1. Michael Byrne saying Williams 3, Katonga 2, Smith 1. Sinkers, Iongi 3, Hawkins 2, Katonga 1. So chat's been pretty good here. Our mate Rob, Gideon 3, yes. Iongi 2, Hawkins 1. These are all very valid. You look at all these and you really can't say, well, no, Josh, you're wrong, mate. Like you've gotten that out of order. Carl's definitely got it right with Williams 3, Junior 2, Walker 1. Likewise, Carl's not wrong either. This is one of the most hotly contested 3-2-1s we've had in a hot minute. Who else is in there? Scott Whitney saying 3 points for the fullback Iongi, Hawkins 2, Papali 1, giving the 1 pointer there to the Rook. Who else have I missed here? Chris Hill saying Riley Smith's playing 3. Yes, he deserves some sympathy. The left nut 2 and the right nut 1. Yes, that's a good vote there. Good vote there, Chris.
Well, if anyone said he gave his left nut for a Parramatta win, it might be.
Yeah, exactly. He took all 3 stumps there for the Eels. And then Jamie, Iongi 3, Hawkins 2, Moretti 1. And then Dave Calgaro chiming in now, Hawkins 3, Walker 2, Riley Smith 1. Yeah, good spread from chat. I mean, consensus 3 and 2, Iongi and Hawkins, 60s. But
yeah, that's what it seemed like. I have to find a forward for a 3 or a 2 because I thought our forwards did such a good job. Now maybe they were just so effective as a unit that it didn't allow one to stand out. But you know what? I have to. I'm going to go with Junior for 3 points. I just think that the quality of his game was so high. And it wasn't that there was big moments. It's just that he produced all game.
50 straight minutes, roughly.
Yeah.
Played huge minutes to open the game. Came back later in the contest when it was sealed and delivered. But I think that was a luxury that Jason Ryles had because the rest of the team stood up in Junior's absence in the second half. And, look, I was edging towards a Junior 3 as well, to be honest. But I'll stick strong. I had him as my potential man of the match in the preview. He's come out and delivered. And while I think that Hawkins and Iongi and Junior are all incredibly worthy as potential 3-point recipients, Gideon Katonga's rise with what he saw tonight, maybe he wasn't the best on field, but I got to pat myself on the back a little bit for picking him out in the pregame.
Look, I've got to go Iongi with the 2 points.
Yeah, class pick.
And I'm going to go. It's really hard for me to split Hawkins and Gideon Katonga for the 1 point. I'm going to use my privilege that we're the ones talking here and say I'm going to split that point and give them half a point each.
Yeah.
So
I'll try and honour the system. I'll go Dean Hawkins too, to come in and fill Mitchell Moses' britches the way he did in the context of up against a rival. We're chasing consecutive wins to set a tone for the season. No Zach Lomax, so he hasn't got the easy target to kick to. He did a fantastic job using a varied repertoire of attacking skills. And then the 1 point is Ira Yongi. The big man junior in his milestone game, he's too good for points tonight. I'll give him the HM. Yeah, he doesn't.
You're just going to give him an S level or something like that.
Yeah, he doesn't need it. He's gotten enough love. By the way, guys, check out the Parramatta Eels on social media, on Twitter and Instagram. There's some cracking content coming up tonight. Boys celebrating the win as always when it goes up, but some great pictures of Joash and Junior in their full regalia post game. See if I can do this without butchering it. Let me see if I can bring this up and not butcher it for the thing using OBS. 1 sec. I'll go to studio mode. Let's change the link here. See if I can. Okay, we'll go here and I'll bring it over to. Yeah. There we go. So, got the boys there, as you can see in chat. Junior and look at Josh's grin, guys. He's a man that is very happy with himself right now, and understandably so. So yeah, plenty of great content there on Parramatta Eels on Twitter. Go check it out. And yeah, chat doing a great job with the votes. 60s. The Eels, can you believe it? And it is provisional because it is only game 2 of an Origin impacted week, so there are still games on the docket in hand for the game, for the code. Eels climb 4 positions on the ladder just off the back of this win. And they've now, look, breathing room is not the word I would use, but there's a bit of momentum. We've got the Newcastle Knights and the Panthers and the Titans all below the Eels right now. 3 wins apiece, 3.5 wins for the Panthers because they had that draw against the Cowboys. Eels in 14th place. They are provisionally, and again, there are results to be played this weekend that could influence the ladder. They are provisionally 1 win outside the 8. And that will probably change by the end of this round 12 slate of dockets or slate of results. But what a crazy year. We saw St. George climb 5 spots provisionally last week with their win over the Broncos. The Eels doing pretty much the same with a key win against the Seagulls, and that now leaves the Seagulls balanced precariously outside the 8 in 9th position. They've got 5 wins, 6 losses to their games. This drops them below 500. This moves their form against closer towards net zero, only plus 18. The Eels, meanwhile, negative 79. It's not pretty. But ahead of them, the Roosters, negative 46 in 13th. The Tigers, negative 54 in 11th place. The Dragons, negative 11 in 10th place. The Seagulls, who I just mentioned, 18. The Broncos, positive 42, so the first real big outlier there. The Finns also the same there in 12th. But then you've got where are they? The Cowboys, negative 32, 4 wins and a half, 4 wins, 1 draw. And then the Rabbitohs, negative 52 in 6th place. There are gains to be had here if the Eels can keep this momentum rolling. And I'm not saying they need to win 5 or 6 in a row. That would be nice. That would be fantastic. But they've got games against the Panthers next week, which is winnable. And the Panthers usually having the luxury of being able to rest those Origin stars. That's not the case this year. They're going to have some fatigue bodies in that team. And then the Bulldogs come next. And the Bulldogs, the Eels challenged earlier this year. And I know that they're the form team in the competition and they're playing some great football. They just got pantsed by the Dolphins 60s. And the Eels went toe-to-toe with the Dolphins. They should have beaten the Dolphins. And you can't you can't use the power of transitive properties to say, we beat the Dolphins, therefore we beat the Dogs. But you can feel, there is a feeling that the gears are shifting, that the landscape is just changing slightly for Parramatta now. And there's
self-belief. There's
that's
self-belief
right.
in this team, John.
Yeah.
And they know they should have beaten the Dolphins. They should have beaten the Sharks.
Exactly.
And if they had beaten those two teams, they're in a completely different ladder position right now. They would have had that 5 wins in a row that you're talking about, because those 2 losses that went back to back broke up what should have been a 5-win sequence, 5 wins and a bye. That's what should have happened in that period of time. But it isn't. You know, it's like if your auntie had what's her names, she'd be your uncle. That sort of analogy. But you know, it's you look at those hypotheticals and you think, you know, we could have been in a lot better position. We aren't, but the team is believing in themselves, and they obviously took something out of those games. They've built on it, and this week they built again on their performance the week before to produce what I think was arguably their best performance of the season, and their best performance of the season without Lomax, and also with the disruption of losing their centre in the first couple of minutes of the game. So,
yeah. And we barely touched that, and you know, poor Will getting knocked out and consigned to a Category 1 HIA, which now means he is in severe doubt for that game against Penrith. We play on Sunday, so that falls inside that 11-day window. But he does have a chance. Cat 1s aren't the be-all, end-all. You do have a chance to go for protocols and have it downgraded to Cat 2. But you trust that the club will do their correct diligence there and not try and fudge it, given that they've got someone like Joash now who has a chance to train a proper week in a centre or wing position. But, yeah, did it with a man down early on. And I know that the Seagulls were impacted too. Jake got a concussion, a Cat 2 concussion, and they had Simpkins do a oblique strain, but he came back out. And, yeah, they did it tough tonight, mate. And you know what? We didn't talk about this at all, which is always a good sign of the officials. I thought Liam Kennedy was pretty consistent. There were not too many nitpicky 6-agains on both sides. There were some, but and both teams got some penalties. And I'm sure you can pinpoint certain areas where you got it wrong and you would have liked to have seen some more. I was certainly banging at the game here and there saying 6-again penalty, which you always do as a supporter, but that felt like a game got a chance of flow. And that's probably where the Eels are at their best, when the game has a bit of flow to it.
Yeah, I think that was definitely the case. I think there was a couple of times where the touchy probably missed a forward pass. There was at least one where the Seagulls, all the kick chasers were offside from the kick, and clearly so. Yeah. And I think, I can't remember if it was Yongi or the Fox that took the kick.
We had a couple of guys take it in the air, as well.
Got to run it about 4 or 5 metres. But look, this is one of those games. There's no point in talking about match officials or anything like that. Will Penisini's going to miss the next game. Lomax comes back. You'll probably have Sam Rani again picked out in the back line. So that'll be how that back line will look. You're probably going to have the likes of well, look, I think the main thing is, we wondered, could Jason Ryles carry both Cody Walker and Joash Papali? Dylan Walker and Joash Papali on the bench.
I'm good for a faux pas or 5. And yeah, this was like a real litmus test game, wasn't it? Centre goes down 2 minutes in, almost a nightmare scenario. It's always hard to replace a specialist defensive position. And great hit out for Joash, great hit out for Jason Ryles' vision of the bench. And that sort of ties into a question that Chris is asking us in chat. Where does Joash fit into this team right now, though? I think he might just end up being the fix-it guy. He's earned his shot now on the back of dominating New South Wales Cup, and he went out there and got a really tough initiation against a great winger in Lehigh Pawati, took his lumps early on, and then bounced back to score his own try and also make that cracking try saver in the second half. I'm not saying he's there to be a first-choice winger, but on that bench, if these forwards are going to do what they did tonight, not every week, but consistently, and a player that I didn't even mention, he had one bad drop, but Jermaine Hopgood was back to a lot closer to his best. And that made a huge difference, 60, because I sat with my brother and watched this game, and I said to him, look how late Dylan Walker is being thrown into this game, as opposed to recent weeks where Dylan's in after 10, 15 minutes, if that. Dylan Walker came in that same rotation as Ryan Madison. that extra 10 and plus minutes, it makes a difference. And
and given that we were carrying a back
on the bench,
it made all the difference in the world. So, well, look, we probably need to wrap that up there. Just a reminder, tomorrow, both the New South Wales Cup and Jersey Flegg are on at Kellyville. So I think we've got, what is it? Is it 11:30? 11:30 kickoff with New South Wales Cup. John?
Have a quick gander for you. Game did get bumped to tomorrow, 11:30. Good memory, yes. So
yes, and Jersey Flegg on at I imagine then 1:30.
Jersey Flegg
that was the kickoff there.
1:30.
Yep. So stick with TCT for coverage there, but of course, if you can, get up there. Get up there. It's watch the game from the Eels' new facility there, the new grandstand. They got space for 1,500 people to sit in the stand and watch the game. You got a little hill there as well behind the southern end of the field. You've got a little bit of standing room there on a balcony, and
we know there's going to be at least one change for the cup as well because Josh was named the fullback. So presumably
that'll be Harper will go to fullback. Someone will come on the bench.
Yeah. So
yep.
Be interesting to see.
So anyway, stick with us. Stick with us there. John, thank you tonight for your fine efforts.
And so Chris Hill, for great point. Check out Josh's jersey presentation video from the club. His dad is an absolute character. Like a stand-up comedian running a gig. He had the whole floor and the whole room hanging on his words. It was great. So more good content.
Yeah, looking forward to catching up on all these things that we didn't get a chance to catch up on with being at the Leagues Club before the game. So just again, thank you to everyone who's been here live for this podcast, and for those that are listening on delay, because it is 11:30 at night that we're going live here.
Got to love an 8 o'clock game.
You have to excuse the odd little yawn that's been happening for me. It's been a long day, and I am 64 years of age, so it is starting.
Don't look a day over 44, mate. You're killing it.
Anyway, so we've got that. Stick with TCT tomorrow.
Yeah, live vlogs of both games. We'll be running those. And
thank you to our sponsors, Star Partners Real Estate, Auburn, Narellan, and Parramatta, and of course to the home of the Eels, Parramatta Leagues Club, where again you saw us earlier tonight. Thank you to everyone that came in there.
Great crowd.
Thank you to Stephen Edge.
Yes, Steve Edge.
Thank you to Stephen Edge that joined us there. Don't forget, next week it is an away game for the Eels at Combank Stadium against the Panthers, but there's a great function that the Eels are hosting in Sturlos, which is normally our home there, but this time Jim Sarantinos is stepping up to be the MC with a panel of legend players in what is an away match event that Paraleagues is staging. So make sure you get to that. Yeah. You can hit that. There's if you see it, you should be able to see it in socials. There's links that you can hit, or basically just go to the Eels shop, because they got tickets for it in the Eels shop. So use all your membership details to head to the Eels shop. John, what a win. How good is it to be winners?
So good.
And as I always say, go you mighty Eels.
Alrighty.